In this video, you'll learn how to compare things in Spanish. Por se la vi. To get our bearings, first let's take a look at how English uses comparisons. For example, you're going to have things that are more than, or you're going to have the ER added to an adjective typically, and then than. For example, this costs more than that, this is bigger than that. That's a comparison saying that one thing is more. The second one, less than or fewer than. I have less money than you. I have fewer resources than you. Of course, we use less when it's a non-countable noun, and we use fewer when it's countable. And finally, another type of comparison is an equal comparison. So as much as or as many as. They have as much time as we do. They have as many expenses as we have. The first structure, more than, says that one thing is greater than the other. For example, usted tiene más dinero que él. Más dinero que, meaning more money than. Look at the second. Esta colección es más bonita que la otra. Look at the part in blue. Más bonita que, prettier than, or more beautiful than. Notice that bonita is feminine. It's an adjective and it's in the feminine form because colección is feminine. In the third example, este diseñador es más interesante que el otro. In this one, you're saying that one designer is more interesting than the other. To say that something is less than, smaller than, or fewer than, you use typically menos que. Ella tiene menos dinero que la jefa. Menos dinero que, less money than. In the second example, este producto es menos útil que ese. Menos útil que, less useful than. And in the third one, esta marca tiene menos opciones que esa marca. Menos opciones que, fewer options than. The third type of comparison uses two things that are equal. So typically you're going to have tan como if you're dealing with adjectives or adverbs. Take a look at these three examples. El saco es tan caro como la falda. Tan caro como means as expensive as. Notice that caro, being an adjective, has to agree with saco. Saco is masculine singular, so caro needs to be masculine singular as well. In the second example, el estilo es tan importante como el precio. Tan importante como means as important as. And in the third example, we have an example of an adverb coming between tan como. Él trabaja tan rápido como nosotros. Tan rápido como, as quickly as. If you're comparing the amounts of nouns and saying that they're equal in amount, in English you would say as much as or as many as. In Spanish, the equivalent would be something like this, tanto como. Unless the noun that you're comparing is feminine and singular, then it would be tanta como. If it were masculine plural or mixed gender, you would say tantos como. And if it were feminine plural, you would say tantas como. Let's see how it works in the sentences. El papel cuesta tanto dinero como el café. Tanto dinero como, as much money as. Notice that dinero ends with an O, so tanto must also end with an O. In other words, dinero is masculine singular, tanto must be masculine singular too. In the second example, we see hay tanta agua mineral como refrescos. In this example, you see that agua is feminine singular. So tanta must be feminine singular as well. You see it ends with the a. In the third example, atraen a tantos niños como adultos, you see that niños is the masculine plural form. Therefore, tantos is also the masculine plural form. And finally, in the last one, tenemos tantas sillas como teléfonos. We have as many chairs as telephones. Notice that sillas is feminine and plural. Therefore, tantas must be feminine and plural, and that's why you finish it with an AS. You don't always have to have an adjective, an adverb, or a noun to make comparisons. You can also compare verbs. In this example, the verbs are written in yellow. Let's look at the first one. Yo duermo más durante las vacaciones. Notice that the amount that I sleep during vacations is more. Yo duermo más. In the second example, yo trabajo menos también. Notice that trabajo is the verb and menos tells me how much of it. So I work less. In the third example, pero gasto tanto como cuando trabajo. Gasto tanto como, I spend as much as. This one, you're saying that you spend the same amount as you do when you work. This is a very important slide because in this example, we're not going to see más or menos. We're comparing things as being better, worse, older, and younger. The words for better, worse, older, and younger are special words. Let's take a look at the examples. To see the first one, you're going to find the word better in it. El trabajo de ella es mejor que el trabajo de él. Mejor is your word for better. In the second example, you see, mi problema es peor que el problema de usted. Peor is the special word that means worse. In the third example, este vendedor es mayor que su jefe. Mayor is a special word that means older. And in the last example, el jefe es menor que su vendedor. Menor is also a special comparative word meaning younger. Earlier in this presentation, we saw más que and menos que. However, if the next thing that comes after the comparative is a number, then what we do is we put in más de and menos de. So que changes to de before a number. Look at the first example. Hay más de 200 vendedores en la exposición. Más de, because 200 is a number. Look at the second example. Hay menos de 3 horas para terminar los preparativos. Menos de 3 horas. We use menos de rather than menos que because the next word, tres, is a number. Hasta luego. Se la vi 2020.